All right, welcome to Mazecast. Yet again, we're joined by Sarah Aria Goodchild. Am I remembering your last name correctly? I could have looked at it in the 2 seconds before I went on air, but I decided to trust my excellent memory. And then Alex is here as well.
It's actually Captain Alex to you.
Captain Alex Speverson, ready to take down Room 10. We've got it, all the answers. Stick around if you're interested in knowing the complete 5-star solutions for Room 10. We guarantee they will be revealed by the end of this episode, just as they have been for every room we've ever discussed here on the Mazecast. You know, I don't remember whether we've discussed on Mazecast yet that there's now a Mazecast.com. Have we pointed that out before, Alex? On a show?
Sorry, my mic's not. No, we have not mentioned that. Mazecast.com is the spot. You can visit all the rooms that we've done so far. We've only got a handful of rooms left, maybe 3 or 4 after this one. But if you go to any other room, you'll see the video associated with that room. I haven't enabled comments, but maybe I'll do that soon. Got spam last time I did that. But always feel free to drop us an email. I'm willing to work with you with whatever you want to do. Like if you want to start a little blog like Brent did, you'll see another member of ours, Brent. He doesn't come on the Mazecast, but he does a little blog of his own. I've given him a page. He's got the opportunity to put pictures and whatever he wants there. So if you want something like that, I can hook you up. If you just want to leave a comment, do that too. Or hit us up on The Abyss, the other website. Either way, we're flexible. Semper Gumby, always flexible.
Yeah, and Brent's stuff there is really cool. We're trying to get some more stuff on there besides just the Mazecast. So I think there is some other resources there. Some maze documentation of clues and contest rules and things. I think Sarah's going to start writing maze-inspired haiku or something. Oh, but before we go any further, Sarah is going to give us our how would you describe it? Our room drink pairing for the night?
That's right. I'm going to be your room sommelier for the evening. I had a nice glass of rosé with the last room, and I thought, maybe I should try to figure out what drink goes best with each room. So this one was pretty easy, actually. Looks like a hotel room. There's sunlight streaming in through the doors. Kind of looks like early in the morning, maybe. So it makes you think of being away, maybe on holiday or business trip, and what you get in a hotel when you're away and it's morning time. You get a delicious mimosa. So I made myself a lovely mimosa here. It's half sparkling wine, half orange juice, lovely orange garnish.
So there you have it. Now, if you're watching this live, you probably want to continue watching live. But if you're not watching this live, go ahead and pause the tape, go out and get the appropriate booze and accoutrements, and then you can come back and enjoy the rest of this episode properly refreshed. All right, room 10. Let me go ahead and put it up on the screen share here. Okay. Oh, where to start with room 10? Room 10, I guess, is probably most immediately recognizable in terms of being on the other side of the door in 37. 37 and 10 have that interesting connection where the group hears itself on the other side of the door when they're in 37. And of course, here they also hear themselves on the other side of the door in 37, kind of a strange time loop going on. That occupies the majority of the text in this room, discussing or setting up this time loop there, but it doesn't, at least as far as I can tell, doesn't seem to have any real connection to the puzzle in this room. We could be wrong about that. I'm not sure that we've really got it figured out what's going on here, but at least nothing in here appears to me to have any connection to the noise in 37. And I don't think I've ever heard anything suggested for this room that's based off of the noise in 37. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Okay. I think I've probably, well, maybe about 3 different solutions or related series of solutions I can present for the picture, and then if I've forgotten anything or you want to add anything, go ahead. The one solution, and I don't think my cursor shows up when I'm doing screen share this way. So you'll just have to follow along with the picture yourself and hope that you understand what I'm talking about. But there's this business of a series of pointers, of things pointing to each other, such that there's kind of a path of directional clues in the room. And I guess the way I'm going to look at this first is that if you start with the pictures over on the far right, the ballerina and the tap dancer there, and you can actually start with the ballerina and see that as she stands on that one pointed toe with her body straight up, she's kind of pointing down to the tap dancer. The tap dancer then is holding his baton at an angle that points out, and if you trace the line of the baton, it comes down and connects with the hat box at the bottom of the picture. The hat box then has a loose ribbon that sticks out from the side so that you've got this straight line pointing diagonally up and to the left from the hat box. And from there, I could see arguing a couple different ways. Either it points to that closest bedpost, and let's go with that for the moment. It points to that closest bedpost, which points straight up to the stepladder or directly to the baton. But in any case, it gets you to the baton, which then points through the correct door to 41. Alternatively, I guess the loose ribbon on the hat box might point to the umbrella, which points to the, I don't know whether it really two-dimensionally points to the door or points to the stepladder, which then takes you to the, I can see saying it points you to the ladder, which then going up the ladder takes you to the baton, and then the baton points you through the door. I'm not sure exactly which is the best way to read that series of clues, but in any case, there seems to be this series of pointers taking you around the room and then through door 41, which is the correct answer. And one thing that I think that is satisfying about that is that it kind of starts and ends with the baton. At least if you think of the dancers as a group, the batons with the dancers and then the batons at the end. But another thing that I like even more than that is what you've got pictured on the right are steps in the sense of dance steps. And then what you've got at the end of the trail are steps in the sense of the steps on the stepladder. And so in what this trail is a series of steps that you go through to be directed toward the correct door. So I think it connects the beginning and the end, and in a way sort of explains why there's this theme of the stepladder and the dance steps on the right in connecting them that way. Did I do justice to the directional clues there?
Yeah, that's good. I like that step thing.
I don't like it that much. I swear, 75% like it.
How about if I say the ballerina's legs look like a Taurus symbol? Is that better?
I'm not going to go down that path, at least for this episode.
Oh, yeah, look at her arms. She is.
No, listen. So my theory, I came up with this the other day. It's a sort of lame dancers to the objects in the room. What I was saying was, similarly to what you said, the top hat dancer guy with a baton. There's the baton is represented real life by pointing at 41, but the ballerina, this is the tricky part, and I don't think you agreed with this. Her leg and the tutu look like an open umbrella. So there are two objects that relate to the dancers in the room that both point to 41, regardless of the whole, sort of chain linking the objects by pointing at each other. Because I always thought, this is back in the Greg days when he was around, he thought that the bands in the luggage sort of look like a 4 and a 1, and I kind of like that.
I can sort of see it. I think it's kind of forced, but I can kind of see it. But your solution there about the ballerina relating to the umbrella, I think when you said it, I was kind of like, that's dumb. But I don't think I was looking at the picture as you said it. I was just remembering, and I think that's maybe not so far-fetched. I mean,
No, I mean yours is good too because it's all inclusive. But I think that the ballerina and the guy dancing are doing double duty in that respect.
Maybe. Well, one or the other, you know. I think finding connections and then differing on what the interpretive principle is, I think it's still worthwhile to find those connections. And it is, the ballerina does seem to be sort of holding her body straight up. Okay, the arms over her head coming together seem to be like that. The one problem with it is that her leg is off to the side like that. But on the other hand, that's kind of the mechanism, that's kind of what the mechanism that makes an umbrella stand up is kind of like, you know? It goes off to the side, and like if you were sliding an umbrella open, there would be a protrusion off to the side, not that big, but it would be kind of like her leg off to the side. So it is sort of like the raising of an umbrella, the ballet dancer.
Well, also, it would look really fishy if her leg was in the middle of her body.
Yeah. Well, she could have just had both legs straight down, is all I meant. And then that would have made her straight like the umbrella, but then her tutu would have gone out. But then that wouldn't have been perfect either. I think that's not bad.
You want to hear my ballerina theory?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so here's my theory. My theory is that the trail of pointers does start with the tap dancer and his baton, so that's what he is used for. And I think that the ballerina, I looked up some ballet positions, and that is the classic pirouette position, so she's going to be turning around or spinning. And she is connected to door 14, but when you flip 14 around, you get 41. So that is my theory.
We've talked about the ballerina spinning around before.
Yeah, that's reminiscent of something.
But I don't remember whether we said that specifically. Maybe we did. I don't remember. But
I think what was on the Abyss was that, like, you spin her around and her legs look like a 4, which is true too.
that was one thing. Another thing I know that we said was if you associate her with the door to 14, 14 is the room where you need to turn around and go back.
Right.
Because everything goes in the trap unless you go back the way you came. There's only one way in there. And I think we suggested that maybe some of the turnaround clues in 14 may relate back to that. I don't remember whether we said...
Yeah, there was one more too. We said the guy represented a 4 because his legs are sort of in a weird position, but not exactly a 4, like maybe a little bit hidden, so it's not so obvious. And the same thing with her leg. It looks like a 1 sort of, so it's like a 1 and a 4, but you don't know which order they go in. At first, you might think it's 14 because she's first and he's second, but then after I don't know what, you have some epiphany, you realize it's the other way around.
I guess just the fact that you have 41 and 14 sitting there as mirror images of each other, I wanted that to be somehow part of the solution.
Right, and you've got the ballerina who's positioned like she's spinning. I think everyone agrees there. I mean, that's,
yeah.
You're right. I mean, there seems to be something there. Whether we've hit upon the right way to phrase, here's our observation and here's why it gives us the right answer, I don't know. But I think you're definitely right that here's something that's going on. These letters are turned around, and there's something symbolizing turning around here by the number that needs to be turned around.
Right.
I think that's good. Anything else direction-wise or related to what we said before I move on?
This is just sort of a pocket, not really related to anything, but this is the only room that you can access 14 from. 14 is completely isolated except from 10. And 14 is one of the most deadly rooms in the maze.
Yeah, outside the
really bad to end up there if you do that.
Yeah, not really. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of warning here. About 14. It's not like in 32. Well, I guess 30. Well, whatever. This is about room 10. So I'll stay on task. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about are the doors. Now, room 34 is missing doors completely. The unmarked door has 2 closed doors. Room 41 has 1 open door, 1 closed door. Room 14 has 2 open doors. Only kind of, I guess, structural similarity I would suggest to those is we've got the hat box, which has 2 ribbons on it, one of which is tied around and one of which is snapped. which I've compared before to the idea of one door being shut and one being open. And also the pillows on the bed. There's one lying down flat and one that's been turned sideways, which I could see kind of analogous to one door being remaining shut and one door being turned open. Um, that's the best I can do for those open and shut doors, I think.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem, there's also the briefcase there, which has two closed locks on it, which, if we're playing this game, seems to correlate to the unmarked door. But that, I mean, it doesn't lead you the wrong way, but it does lead to kind of a, well, so what? Why is that there if they're trying to clue? I mean, why not have one lock open on the briefcase if that's what's going on here?
Yeah. But I mean, on the other hand, you can't. I mean, you can't go through that door, so you can discount that clue anyway.
Yeah, but why is it there if that's really the deal?
Yeah.
Anyone else have any ideas on the
half-open door?
Yeah, the doors in general.
I don't know. Maybe it's in relation. Maybe it's one of those room interconnectivity clues, where it's connected to 34 with the right door in 34 is a maybe. It's like a half between a yes and a no, and maybe you have the same kind of thing going on here, or you have one closed door and one open door, and the correct one is the medium-sized door, like the Goldilocks door, the half-open maybe sort of door.
Yeah, although it really.
Yeah, like it's a stretch. I'm just trying to compare it to a neighboring room, but.
Right. Well, I mean, I think you're right that it's sort of the middle path between the other two. It's just there's nothing that I can see that's saying take that middle path.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this next thing, I'm just gonna. I don't know that this really results in a solution, but it does seem that there are some structural similarities between things in the room that, to me at least, seem very deliberate, but I'm not sure exactly what to do with them. And I start with, you've got the volcano there, and it's got the ash shooting up in the air, and there are four, I guess, large sparks or bits of debris, or I don't know what exactly they are, what to call them, but there are four things coming off of it besides the plume in the center. There are three going off to the right, and there's one going off to the left. And then off of this sort of vaguely conical-shaped volcano there. Now, the stepladder then is also sort of vaguely conical or V-shaped or whatever you want to say. At the top, there's the paint can with paint pouring out of it, which I'd argue is at least suggestive of like lava overflowing from the lip of a volcano. If you don't like that, I would note that the text emphasizes how the smell of paint is permeating the room, which I think is kind of analogous to the gas that's being shown coming out of the volcano there. The aroma of the paint is coming out of that paint can. And then you also have three pointers off to the right and then one off to the left, in the sense that you've got these two what are presumably paintbrush handles sticking out of the top of the can. You've got off to the right. You've got the top of the baton pointing off to the right, and then you've got the rear of the baton pointing off to the left. And so the stepladder seems to mirror that image of the volcano. Now, what that exactly means, I don't know. I mean, you've got those three right-hand pointers vaguely pointing at door 41, but so what? I don't see any particular reason why we should be taking those the ones that are pointing at 41 as opposed to the one pointing behind to 34. But on that same theme of like three right, one left, we've got the bed, which has four posts on it, three of which are on the right side of room 34, and one of which is on the left side. It doesn't have the conical shape or anything that the other two items have, but it still seems to me like there's this 3 of 4 thing going on, with 3 on one side and 1 the other. And even the hat box has, like, of the 4 edges of ribbon, I guess, on the borders of the X. Like 3 of them are down, and 1 of them is up because it's torn. And the problem with all this 3 of 4 stuff is, of course, it seems to be suggestive of 34, which is not the correct answer. So what's going on with this stuff? Now, interestingly, the bedposts all seem to be, except for the one on the far left, they all seem to be directly underneath of, I guess, important objects. Like the bottommost one points right up to the umbrella, which points to door 41. And then the rightmost one points, again, either to the step ladder or up to the baton or whatever, which points to room 41. But then the one in the back points to the volcano. I don't know what exactly to say about the volcano. It's got 3 to the right and 1 to the left, but I don't know how to make that pointing to 41 unless you say, well, the volcano is meant to look like the stepladder because the stepladder points to 41, so the volcano is just another indicator of 41.
Oh, there's also the possibility that it's just a red herring, similar to the doll in 41.
Yeah.
It doesn't really help you with anything.
Well, and then, I don't know, just another 3, 4, I guess. Based on the position of the volcano, there are 3 doors to the right and 1 to the left.
Right.
Seems like a pretty compelling, correlation to what we're seeing on that volcano, but as to what we're supposed to make with it, I have no idea. So I don't know. I think there's something there for someone to figure out.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? In terms of something being half open, I don't know whether I thought about this before or if I'm just forgotten, re-remembered, but the bed is sort of half open too, isn't it? In the sense that the sheet is like half back.
Yeah. Yeah. That was you mentioned that. That was one of your clues from eons ago. You mentioned it was like a third down or something.
I don't know.
I don't know about numbers, but yeah, it's the fold in the bed is suggestive of fractions, sort of, or the dividing of numbers, something like that.
Well, it does seem to give you another, like, I keep saying conical or V because I don't know whether we're supposed to think of the volcano 2-dimensionally or 3-dimensionally, but it does give you like another triangular shape, those folds in the blanket for whatever the hell that's worth. Nothing.
Well, 515 was talking about the bed too on the Abyss.
What did 515 say?
He said it looked like there were 4 different segments of the bed after, because of the way it has been folded down. So the bottom sheet, and then the next sheet, and anyway, 4 segments, and that the umbrella head is resting on the 3rd segment. So that would maybe be an indicator of the 3rd door.
Well, that's
Hey,
because the head actually crosses over both sections, and the majority of the umbrella is on the last section. I don't think we can sell at 515. Although we should be respectful, 515 is the reigning clue master at the moment.
Is he?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, until another room gets 5-starred, 515 is clue master general.
So you get the 5th star, you become clue master general?
Right. Even if that's the only thing you've ever had approved, you're
Wait a sec. What room did he 5-star?
What was it? I can't remember now. Boy, that's. Oh, nuts. What was it? I don't know. I don't want to sit here and try to remember it for 5 minutes. Man.
All right. Well, anyway, it should be noted while Vince thinks about that. It's strange that the paint bucket has 2 paintbrushes in it, and as a result, it's reminiscent of the drums in room 1 and room 33. Some people have mentioned that before. We haven't really gone anywhere with it, but it's an interesting fact. I also noted earlier in the Millennium that it seems as though, like a lot of people might think that because the ladder is sort of facing towards the door without a number on it, it would actually be easier if you were standing on that ladder to write 40, like where the 41 sign is. That's where you would be painting, because it would be unrealistically, physically possible to sort of lean over that and paint where the thing is, where the empty sign is. I don't know.
Wait, you don't think you could paint where the empty sign is?
No. I'm saying it would be difficult. But you usually set up a step ladder so that the part where you're stepping on is closer to what you're painting, not the other side of. You know what I mean? You don't reach over the step ladder to the other side of the step of the A. I've never done it like that.
See, I totally disagree. Like, if I were setting up that step ladder to paint, it would be to paint the blank sign. I wouldn't have my paint can off to the left and, like, painting over here. I think you'd want your paint can as close to where you're painting as possible.
I don't know. How many houses have you painted? How many double doorwayed?
I'm painting door numbers all fucking day long. You know what my job is.
Yeah, it's true. I admit it.
Oh my god.
Okay.
We haven't even gone through all the accepted solutions on the Abyss yet, I don't think.
Who gives a shit? Okay. Well.
Hey, do you want to go through them? Because Beals usually does that. But
yes.
Sarah, if you want to run through your favorite ones.
Well, okay. I think, and you're kind of touching on, I think, the important one here, which is the idea that.
1 second, guys.
What? She said.
Come on, let's fill this up.
All right, just know. I think the audience deserves to know that Sarah said before we went on air, at some point her husband was going to come home and make fun of her, and we were excited because it was going to happen on air, and then she just turned off her camera like a coward. So I apologize for the interruption of your viewing experience. I mean, this could have been a great episode, but right now, it's so at best.
Unacceptable.
Sorry, guys.
Clue Master Vince figured out why you went off screen.
Yeah, I just had to explain to my husband what was going on. And explain to him why he couldn't watch television right now.
I think you need to explain to our viewers why they didn't get to see it.
I'm so sorry, everybody.
You got to promise next time.
My apologies. Anyway.
A solution. Okay, so the text mentions it may rain where we're going. Guide signals his approval. They take the umbrella. Because the paintbrushes are pointing to the sign of says 41, and perhaps because it's in a good position, as Alex says, we are to believe that the sign to 41 was just painted, and they need the umbrella because if they walk under the sign, they may get dripped on by the paint. Talking about, I don't buy it. How about you?
Nah, I don't buy it. I like the fact that you have an umbrella because you're walking close to the paint can, but I don't know about it being 41 having been recently painted.
Yeah, that's.
You do make a point about how it could be 14, so I kind of want to leave that open. I don't want to go too deep with the paint dripping in the umbrella.
It's kind of an interesting solution though, because it's the only solution of that kind that I've heard, really, for any of the rooms. It's the only time where they actually use the umbrella. I mean, the paint is black, so we know that they've definitely been painting a number and not just painting the thing white or something.
Yes.
I have to admit, when I used to look at this room, I thought that the baton was a paintbrush with white paint on it, and I totally missed the fact that that was black paint coming out of the paint can. So anyway.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I totally forgot that. I mentioned that a while ago on the Abyss, saying that it was black paint, not white paint, so you could clearly see that either the unpainted sign has not been painted or 41 has been painted. Those are only two possibilities. What else was I going to say? Anyway. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's a good point.
Well, here's my problem with the idea, at least. I think the Abyss solution says because the paintbrush is pointing at the sign, that's the indication the sign was just painted. And we do see some stuff like that from White Raven and other places in the maze.
Sorry, that's what I wanted to, which I just forgot. There's the other place that mentions rain and needing an umbrella is 23, when there's no umbrella present, but they said we should have taken that bumbershoot from which room? From the one with the animal, I guess, room 40. What? Which room is that? 34?
42.
42, yeah. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's okay.
You're talking about the paint.
Okay, well, what I was saying is I don't understand the idea of the paintbrush is pointing at 41, therefore the paintbrush was just used in 41. But if that's an okay way to reason about things, it still seems totally superfluous to me because it seems like you might as well then just say, well, the umbrella is pointed at 41, so that means that's where the umbrella is needed because that's where it's raining, so that's where you go. Like if an object being pointed at a door means that object is used there or was used there, it seems needlessly circuitous to say this paintbrush is pointed at the sign, so the sign was just painted, so the paint's going to drip, so you need an umbrella to walk under the sign when the umbrella is already pointing at the same doorway and the text already says they took the umbrella because they thought it might rain. You know what I mean?
But I feel like, I mean, it's not about the umbrella pointing that direction. It's about the fact that if something has just been painted black, that's really the best candidate because, obviously the other ones you couldn't reach, except for the white sign, which has no black paint on it. So if something has just been painted, it's going to have been that door, and so if you're going to agree with the idea that you're putting up the umbrella and that the rain means paint, then that's the door you go into. Because, I mean, there's obviously this bright sunlight coming through, so it's not raining outside, so the rain must mean something else.
I'm only taking issue with the idea that the paintbrush being pointed at the sign
right
indicates that. I agree. If we assume one of these was just painted and that's what the rain is talking about, then that's fair. I don't know that there's really a good basis to assume that. I mean, to me, I look at this, it just looks like someone was going to paint the blank sign and did not. But in any case, all I'm saying is that it seems like it at least violates Occam's razor. Not that Occam's razor really applies in something like this, so let me phrase it differently. It's just an extra unneeded step to say the paint. If this object's pointing at doors are associated with the doors, the paintbrush is pointing at that, so it's associated with da-da-da-da. When you can skip all those steps and just say they took an umbrella because it was going to rain. Umbrella is pointed at the door, so that's where it was going to rain, so they took the umbrella. Like if an object pointing at the door is enough to connect them, then there's no need to do the paint stuff.
But I feel like the point is that it isn't enough, right? I mean, we have a reason to trust the baton, right? Like we figured out the pointer, so that's a reason to trust the baton. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, I don't know, the only reason I would trust the umbrella here is because of the whole 4+1 solution with the bedposts. Like, I think the umbrella pointing is not part of that paint drip solution at all.
But the problem with that mentality is what if it's 1+4, not 4+1?
Well, the solution to that is that it's actually pointing at 41.
Yeah.
So for that solution, I feel like the pointing makes sense, but it's not needed for the paint drips.
Well, but I guess if the umbrella pointing at 41 doesn't indicate the umbrella is used through 41,
right,
then why does the paintbrush pointing at 41 indicate the paintbrush was used on 41?
Oh, I see what you're saying, but I mean, for me, the only thing telling me that the paintbrush was used on 41 is the proximity of the ladder.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. At least all I'm taking issue with is the idea that the paintbrush pointing at 41 means that it.
Yeah, I think the shape of the paintbrushes is interesting, right? Like, is it referring to the drumsticks? It made me think of compasses, like the compasses in the prologue, which I'm obsessed with, or the title page.
It's odd. I mean, if it's done to mirror the volcano, then it's kind of like, okay, question answered because there are 3 to the right and 1 to the left. But then that begs the question, why are there 3 to the right and 1 to the left? It seems like you could just as easily remove one from the paint can and one of those things from the volcano. So I don't know. I don't know why that number in particular, but for whatever reason they want 3 on one side, 1 on the other. That might be why there are 2 paintbrushes. And then once you've got 2 paintbrushes sticking out, there aren't really too many other formations you can put them in except for a V. I mean, I
Right.
guess they could have been on opposite sides crossing this way or something, but
Hmm.
not a lot of options. Okay. Um, did we forget any Abyss solutions then?
Uh, I think we've got, like, there were really only 3 accepted ones right now, which is the baton and the baton trail, the post of the bed, the 4 posts of the bed, and the umbrella being 41, and then the painted sign umbrella thing. That's it.
Oh, I think 4 posts and the umbrella is really problematic. I think that's. But, there's. I guess I have the same complaint every time when you've got small numbers and you're counting things that it seems like you could find a 41 all over the place here. But whatever. Okay, so we've got
You know
all
what?
that.
I really liked hearing about the closed and open thing, though. I think that's really, I don't know, I think that's something.
Actually, you know what? I was going to mention the picking up the umbrella, but we can do that when we read the text.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's do that now. Okay, a room that smelled of paint. Faint voices, apparently in an argument, came from behind the locked door. You know, said one, that sounds like us in there. They tried the door, but naturally it wouldn't open. The voices stopped when the doorknob rattled. One picked up the umbrella. What are you going to say, Alex?
Does he keep the umbrella? Does she keep the umbrella? Can you take objects in this thing? I said something on the Abyss today about taking the candlestick in room 8 because it's closest to the correct door, 12. But anyway, back to room 10.
Well, it is odd because they do try to establish some continuity in the narrative, even if like the path we're following can diverge from the narrative that's going on in the story. Like when the story suggests they went through a closed door, we could still choose to go through an open door, and the story continues. But at least for the group, there are things that connect them from room to room sometimes. This is a pretty big continuity development, I guess, that they picked up the umbrella because you could go from here to 41 to 1 along the path, get to 23 to 23, and all of a sudden the group is saying, "Oh, we should have brought an umbrella with us." You know what I mean? So it's
Well, I mean, it helps that there's no actual rain in the maze, and that although it's sort of a choose your adventure by numbers book, unlike the real books of that type, you can't say, if you take the umbrella, go to page 5. If you don't take the umbrella, go to page 10. And then somewhere later in the context it says, oh, it's raining. Did you take the umbrella? If so, go here. If not, go here. Like that doesn't really happen in the maze. You don't end up needing an umbrella ever, really. It's just mentioned a bunch of times, either picking it up or forgetting it, or basically like being with you or not being with you. But it doesn't really affect you much.
yeah, but well, obviously it doesn't affect you at all. But it's just weird because it seems to establish a second narrative in the maze. Like whatever narrative is being told that includes them picking up the umbrella is necessarily separate. At least it would fairly logically separate from the one where they're saying they should have picked up the umbrella. I guess unless this room came afterwards, which actually may be what that's about, because as we discussed before when we were talking about room 37, I think there's a lot to make this room seem like it's where you want to go from 37. Like just the connection between the two, about how the group hears itself on either side of the door.
Well,
To complete the story, you should be going through this door so the group can hear itself on either side.
Well, wait a second. You can also reach this room very quickly through, I believe it's 41. If you start off the book at 1, you can go to 41 straight to 10. That way, you'll have no idea what the whole 2 people at one place. Or sorry, hearing them.
Well, obviously, yeah, you don't have to come that way. But I mean, if you're following the path and coming back and looking for the shortest route back, this is not too far removed from the shortest route back. Like you could end up only having a 17-step path and not knowing exactly where your problem was. And this connection between 37 and 10 seems pretty solid. And picking up the umbrella here also would seem to be a throwback to your trip back from 45, where in 23 it says you should have picked up an umbrella. And then you get to this room and they pick up an umbrella. So if you're trying to piece together a narrative, it seems like this is a part of it. You know, this completes the stuff we heard in 37. It completes the umbrella thing in 23. So this seems like this should be part of our path, but it's not. I wonder if that's going on, if it's deliberately meant to trick us in that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible because it indeed, in this room, it tells you the right way to go, so you've been experiencing it, sort of leading you astray or not helping you at all. So at this point, you don't trust it, maybe. Or maybe it's the first time you see it. Either way, you're sort of wary about things that are too obvious. The same way the arrow actually points to the right door in 3, but you're wary of it just because of the nature of the room. You know, the same is true for other rooms too. There are things that are so obvious that you mistrust them whether or not they're true.
Hey, the step ladder has 3 legs in the light and 1 in the darkness. 3 in 1.
3 in 1.
It sort of looks like a 4 too. If you trace the profile of the one side of the step ladder, you can see a 4, and maybe even a 1.
Yeah, and an A too. Somewhere on the Abyss it says this is an object letter room. That White Raven said this was an object letter room. I can't remember who said that, and I don't know where that information came from.
White Raven said it. Excellent point. I don't know what the letter is. Is it B or bumbershoot, baton, box, bed, a ballerina,
Briefcase.
bow tie,
Yep.
bullshit?
That one's good.
What does it mean?
It does seem like if you're doing object letter starting things, B seems like the best candidate. There's a lot of V-shaped stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, there's like a V, like a W with those lines on the bed, an X on the hat box.
The paint is black.
Dave Gentile pointed out that pointed out that the hat box, that's the symbol for Earth.
Which is the solution to the riddle of the maze.
Yes. Well, it's not bad.
No, actually, yeah, you've got a point. You know, those orbs that the kings used to hold, they sort of looked like that. They were round, with the latitude, longitude, sort of jewels surrounding it.
Oh yeah, with the little cross on top.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any chests or zodiac things in here?
Somebody's current obsession.
Tarot. I remember a while ago, we tried to associate tarot. We didn't get very far though. It wasn't too fruitful.
Yeah,
Somebody has associated every room with one, haven't they?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. We did that.
We did, but I don't know about every room. I think we tried to come up with something for every card, maybe, but
okay.
It ended up being a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
Every of them are arcana anyway.
Definitely not 45. Definitely not a bunch.
All right. It may rain where we're going. I signaled my approval. After a short rest, we came to. All right. So those last bits, I tried to connect to the idea of nodding. I mean, I signaled my approval. That seems, I don't know how you signal your approval without saying it other than by nodding. I mean, I guess I could have given a thumbs up or maybe some, like, or I don't know. It seems the most likely, the most common way of signaling your approval is nodding. And I suggested the idea of taking a short rest is like nodding off. Although that's a bit of a stretch, because really taking a rest doesn't mean falling asleep, and nodding off definitely means falling asleep. So I don't know, but I suggested that both of those could relate to the word nod, but God knows why or what you do with it. And then, in a Gentilian sort of way, just pointed out that this is, that we've got the Eden stuff over in 34, and not 34, sorry,
30.
in 30, which connects to 34. Which I think when we talked about 30, I suggested that the no on the door in 34 could be kind of like the barred gate to Eden. And then you move over one room, and then we're in the land of Nod, which is where Cain had to go after he slew Abel. That's what Nod's about, right?
Yeah.
I hear a cat.
I mean, it definitely seems like there's something there. I totally agree with you that signal my approval is a very lengthy way of saying nodded, and short rest and those things combined. I mean, you have to get the word nod out of that.
Alternately, though, signaled is also used in 35 when they're talking about, oh, I think it's a signal. No, I'm pretty sure it's a signal.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they're related.
Nod backwards is dawn, and it looks like it's dawn.
Oh.
The Don River.
Yeah, right.
I go mountain biking.
That's nice there.
All right.
5-star solution right there.
All right. Yep. That's it. Those are all the solutions you'll ever need for the technique. But I'm going to get
pieces in here.
One more observation you don't need. The shadows behind the doors in the door pictures look like top hats. Take a look at them.
Ooh. Ooh, it's true.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
That's just a solution waiting to happen. We'll let you piece that one together yourselves. How a top hat over every door somehow tells you which door is correct.
Right.
We'll let you figure that one out. I got nothing left on this room. You guys have anything else you want to say?
Well, I'm annoyed by Nod because I really think it's a thing, and I wish someone would figure it out, but I can't. But that's it. Oh, we forgot to mention the trefoil.
Yeah.
There's a trefoil on the bed. Good night, everybody. No, it's a very blatant symbol right there, staring in the face, kind of front and center. It's a 3. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, goddammit. If you can take that umbrella on the bed and say 4 posts and umbrella, that's a 1 and a 4. Why can't you say there's a trefoil on the bed, that's 3, and 4 posts, that's 34?
Yeah, man.
Answer that one, Alex. Explain it, Alex.
I don't know, but I see bishops on the corners of the like the posts. They look like little bishops on a chess set.
You know, I went through and tried to find all the chess pieces in Maze, and actually there were a lot, and I put it on the Abyss, and I got all the door numbers screwed up somehow. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of them.
There are, but White Raven ignored us.
But what does it mean? Nothing.
Gotta be some.
You want to do a plot everything you say?
Absolutely.
Congratulations. You looked in the book and you made a list.
I want a medal. I want a Maze medal.
All right. I think, are we done? We're done?
I think we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
All right. Not too many rooms left. What do we have left? Who cares? We don't need to go over it on the air. We'll see you next time with a new room we've never discussed, not even amongst ourselves or in private. We're going to talk about a room we've never even looked at before next time, I think.
It doesn't even exist. It's so, yeah.
All right. Special thanks to Christopher Benson, John Bailey, White Raven, Greg, Beals, Gaming Night, Barry, Ben, everyone out there in Mazeland. We'll see you next time.
515.
515.
On Tiki.
Master General. All respect.